So it's connectors and manufacturers tonight. It's what they want us to use and what type of connectors. First things first, I will say thank you to all the people that have helped me to get all this research and stuff. So that's thank you to Keith Diplock and Stuart Gent and Eddie Lamb. Thank you, Eddie, and Adrian Moss as well. These have all given me all this information for free, and I'm delivering it for free. So yeah, so thank you to you guys. And then we'll just talk a little bit about Ratchet Crimp Tools, and we'll also talk about hi Adrian, yes, thank you. We'll also talk about HGV and PSV connectors, LCV, and then we'll go on to cars. So let's just make sure that they can hear me over yonder in iFit Stuffland. So I'll just do my little share thing with them. Oh, we've got loads of people watching now. Hello. Oh, crikey. There we go. Yeah, I can see that they can hear me. Right. So we'll move on. And I did mention about Ratchet Crimp Tools yesterday, last week, but it's important to use when we're doing these types of connectors. It's really important to make sure that you are using a ratchet style crimp tool connector. So anything that we're talking about here, whether we're applying pins to at the end of a cable or and so forth, please, you must use a ratchet crimp tool to apply them. Okay. So we'll start with HGVs. Generally, they use this FMS connector, the Fleet Management Services connector. Now, all these manufacturers have got them: DAF, Volvo, Scania, MAN, Mercedes-Benz, Iveco, Renault, even the PSVs have even got them. VDL and Optare. I can't stress no more than this. You'll be surprised how many times I've actually gone out to audit vehicles, and I've still seen this. The lack of use of this FMS plug, and it's great because it's. I mean, I have got my, and this is what took me a bit of time. I've actually been looking at me. I've been playing with a down cam, so this is a new thing now. This is called my down cam, and looking at, they've got all the connectors on there that you need. It's got 12 volt, it's got 24 volt, it's got CAN, it's got ignition sense, it's got everything on it. And yet, you'd be surprised how many times I've been out to vehicles and not seen these being used. It's just unbelievable. I'm sure that you've felt the same. You've seen the same thing, day to day. You guys, leave me comments. How many do you see where you see you go out to a HGV and they haven't used the bodybuilder plug and they haven't used this FMS plug? Leave your comments and we'll look at that later. So yeah, very important that we use these types of FMS connectors, which is this one here. So moving on back to the presentation. Now, Keith's provided me all this information with the HGVs. I've got part numbers and part codes, so if you do want to, I will be leaving the video alive. If you do want me to make you a PDF up, I'm quite happy to make you a PDF up, but these are all the part codes for the bodybuilder plugs. So if you did want to fit bodybuilder plugs, and if you did want to use the body bed, as an example, if the FMS connector isn't on there, then it's a really, then you can actually use these bodybuilder plugs, and that's what they suggest. They don't want you to cut wires. They don't want you to solder. They want you to use these connectors. We've got bodybuilder plugs. They've actually got physical connections that you can use on the truck. So why would you go anywhere else? Volvo, there's the part codes and the plug for those. And then you've got Alexander Dennis. There's all their part codes and plugs. Volvos, so your Volvo B5 LH hybrid, it's a blue plug on the body, and then you've got a plus 30 board and a blue plug body on board, and then your connectivity plug. He hasn't got the code for it, but there's the code for the pin. So, like commercial vehicles, an interesting one as well. I've actually found some bits and bobs of information. I did go to, and I always do this when I go to the CV show. I do make it my mission to try and find out as much as I can. And this is one thing I found out whilst visiting the CV show the 1 year. If you copy that website address there, etisford.com, and then go on the information tab and then go to vehicle conversions, they've got these lovely books. They're basically, it's a body equipment and mounting manual. And inside there, it's got all the electrical sort of connections and stuff. So you'll find that there's a bodybuilder plug connection in there. There's also, there's, as well as the bodybuilder plug connection, there's also information on where you can take your connectors to. So it's a really really good, informative website, and it's got everything. It's got all the connectors for the Ford, all the Fords that are out there. So all your Ford Transit Connects, as you can see, the Transit Custom, the Big Transit, and even the Ford Rangers on there as well. So quite a good resource that is for you guys out there. But one of the things that did come out was that what connectors there were to use and everything else, and I'll come through that in a minute. In terms of here we go again. In terms of BMW, yes, they do want you to use this IDC, and I'll put my little down cam up so you can have a proper look at it again. There's your IDC. So that's it. Insulation displacement connector. I can open it up and you can see it a little bit better now. Is that a bit out of focus? Sorry guys. There we go. There it is. They also do a larger one. I haven't found the part code for the larger one yet, but that's the larger one you can use on the larger plugs, larger connectors. There it is there. You can see it that well or not. But it does have the opportunity, yeah, in the center pin allows you to connect a second, quite a larger connector. So that one's only for very, very thin connections. I don't know whether you can see that or not. If I put it down on there, and then I do something clever, and then I zoom in and see if I can do this. Yeah, still just as blurry, unfortunately. Sorry about that, guys. But there it is anyway there. I'm sure you've seen them anyway already. But the part code for it is, as you can see, that's the part code from RS Components. So there is the other one. It's actually made by a company called TE. I'm not sure whether you're aware of it or not. But that's the one you need to go for as well. With Ford, so this is thanks to Eddie Lamb. Thanks, Eddie. He suggested that we use the suggested connection from Ford is these heat shrink solder connections as well. So that's something else that we've now got to purchase, the heat shrink solder connection. I've got that on Downcam as well. We'll have a look at those on Downcam. There they are here. So that's this one. So that's a red one. And then you've got the blue ones. I think these are cheap ones, Eddie. I don't think these are the actual genuine ones, so to speak. I've just managed to just cobble these out off Amazon quickly. So that's your Ford connector. I probably wouldn't recommend you using these because they don't look that. But if you do look for heat shrink solder connectors, that's what you're looking for. That's the heat shrink solder connector. Moving on to Audi, VW, Skoda and Seat, or Seat. It's basically the heat shrink connector, and then they want you to use, it's a multitude of things that I've heard about these guys, but it seems to be that the consensus is they want you to pin into the fuse box, and then use heat shrink connectors as well. So it's a pin in with their connectors. The connectors I believe that you can use, thanks to Adrian, you can use the Scania pins. They're exactly the same. But generally, that's the sort of score that you're going for on that. So if I go back to my down cam, again, it's a heat shrink connector. So that's that bad boy there. And then you've got a pin. So you would have like a single pin uninsulated. Those, again, you can purchase those from Audi, VW, Skoda, Seat, or you can buy them with the cable on the end of them from Scania too. JLR, they want you to use the heat shrink. There's their part code, 418108. That's the part code for the blue connector. So if you are looking at doing a lot of JLR work, that's the connectors that they want you to use. Now, bear in mind, when I'm talking to you about these are preferred connections. They haven't, and this is the key thing, and Stuart wanted me to highlight this as well. They haven't highlighted to us that they don't want you to solder and they don't want you to do it. This is just their preferred way. So these are just their preferred connections, because we haven't heard anything where and unless you do, and this is the truth about the matter, unless you do a crap job, then they're not going to be. Truthfully, they're not going to be bothered per se. It's only if you cause a problem on the vehicle, and we all know what that's like, unfortunately. You've only got to look on the forum to see the amount of things that happen on there. And then the final one, obviously, we're talking about these OBD connections. So these are like you can go for. Whoops, let me push me down cam on. These are like these types of T connectors where you have an OBD connection or you connect onto the OBD. Not exactly the best, but it is. I suppose it's a lesser of evils, because you can guarantee then you're connecting to a proper connection. This is I'm not sure where I got this from, actually. I can't remember. It was on one of the courses that I did. It's got a connector on the end of it. If someone can identify it and tell me where it's come from, that would be good, because I've completely forgotten. It looks like it says it's Renault combined OBD harness on it, so that would be nice to know. Just a little. So that's the OBD one. So that is quite a safe connection. In terms of soldering, we'll go to Q&As now anyway. So let's have a look at them and bring them on. So first things first, Andy. FMS is great, but there's still. Oh, there we go. There's still a lot of people, still a lot of clients who insist on soldering, although more are coming round to it. Yes, Andy. And I think more and more are going to come round to it as well. And it's a shame, really, because it's just the case of the matter is that these soldering issues have all been down to people who, unfortunately, think they know what they're doing, but they don't actually know what they're doing, unfortunately. And they're just creating a mess for everyone else in the industry, unfortunately. Scania like you to use the 3 space on the fuse box. Yeah, okay, Adrian. I think I found out where the harness has come from. Yes, there's where the... thank you, Adam. It was you that gave me the lead. Thank you. Yes, thank you. It's come from Traffic Log. Any other comments on this? Thanks ever so much for joining from iFit Stuff, guys. I can see you all on there. To mention a few, Costa, Douglas, Carl, Sam, John, Michael, Anthony, thank you all for joining. That's it then for tonight, and it's been a really quick one, so that's really good. Thanks, because last week, wow, it did go on a little bit. I can now go for me tea tonight. Next week, we're going to talk about 48-volt mild hybrids. Are you aware of them? Anyone heard about these 48-volt mild hybrids? Anyone worked on them yet? Leave me a comment now. That'd be great. Has anyone actually worked on these 48-volt mild hybrids at all? Adrian Moss said, forgot to say, Rolls-Royce want you to pin into the fuse box in a similar way to Audi and VW. Okay. I'll leave you with some music. Thanks a lot. Good night.